For stories like these and more updates all day long from your favorite news outlets, go to offthepress.com.
America's Voice Live, America's fastest growing news program. With Steve Gruber.
You've got to put America first. You do that by voting and bringing your friends to do the same.
Delivering the latest news, observations, and opinions. With the entire Real America's Voice team, America's Voice Live starts now.
Welcome to America's Voice Live. Hi, everyone. I'm Terrence Bates in for Steve Gruber. Today is Friday, June 23rd. Let's get right into today's top stories. President Joe Biden has been at the forefront of the recent gun control legislations, and some of his rhetoric has people scratching their heads. Dr. John Lott from the Crime Prevention Research Center joins us with a look at some of the research that he's been doing on the issue. Plus, Hunter Biden's laptop keeps making headlines. Now, whistleblower and IRS employee Gary Shapley is confirming that the FBI authenticated the first son's laptop even back in 2019. And then later, TPUSA correspondent Anthony Watson went undercover to a Pride event in Arlington, Texas. He'll join us with a report on what he witnessed. That's all coming up right here on America's Voice Live. We begin, though, with another potential bombshell being dropped dealing with Hunter Biden. This time, President Joe Biden is also implicated in his son's alleged pay-for-play schemes. On Thursday, House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith detailed the testimonies of two IRS whistleblowers involving millions of dollars as well as dealings with the Chinese Communist Party.
Not one, but two IRS employees are blowing the whistle, with evidence that the federal government is not treating taxpayers equally when enforcing tax laws. The whistleblowers were working on an investigation into Hunter Biden that opened in November of 2018 as an offshoot of a separate corporate investigation by the IRS. Let me emphasize, this was an investigation in the ordinary course of work at the IRS. It was not ordered by any individual, any chairman, or any political entity. The testimony we released today shows the IRS recommended charges against Hunter Biden that included attempt to evade or defeat tax, a felony, fraud or false statements, a felony, and willful failure to file returns, supply information, or pay tax. These tax crimes cover an estimated $2.2 million in unreported tax on global income streams to Mr. Biden and his associates from Ukraine, Romania, and China, totaling $17.3 million from 2014 to 2019. Mr. Biden personally received $8.3 million.
Congressman Smith goes on to outline the whistleblower's claims that the investigation into Hunter Biden was slow-walked.
Whistleblowers claim the Biden Department of Justice is intervening and overstepping when it comes to the investigation of the president's son. Despite what whistleblowers described as a clear-cut case for tax liability on these payments, IRS investigators say they found themselves hamstrung internally. The testimony we have just released details a lack of U.S. attorney independence, recurring unjustified delays, unusual actions outside the normal course of any investigation, a lack of transparency across the investigation and prosecution teams, and bullying and threats from the defense counsel. This was a campaign of delay, divulge, and deny. Whistleblowers say reoccurring unjustified delays pervaded the investigation, including an authenticating a WhatsApp message in which Hunter Biden demands payment from Chinese officials, noting that his father is in the room. The whistleblowers revealed IRS investigators were told by U.S. Attorney Leslie Wolf that because the evidence would be found in the guest house of former Vice President Biden, quote, there is no way, close quotes, a search warrant for evidence would ever get approved. IRS whistleblowers told this committee that crucial information about the investigation was divulged to Hunter Biden's attorneys. For example, even an investigators had probable cause to search a Northern Virginia storage unit in which Hunter Biden had stored files. Attorneys for Biden were made aware prior to any search, providing them valuable time to remove any materials that could be useful evidence. Few Americans qualify for such soft glove treatment from federal investigators. Testimony shows that U.S. Attorney of Delaware David Weiss tried to bring charges in the District of Columbia around March of 2022 and was denied. Weiss sought special counsel status from the DOJ in the spring of 2022 and was once again denied. Weiss sought to bring charges in the Central District of California in the fall of 2022 and had that request denied in January of 2023.
Joining me now to talk more about this issue and much more is Senior Counsel for the Lawfare Project, Gerard Felitti. Gerard, good to see you, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so you heard all of that coming from the committee. I'm curious, in your experience, how unusual is it that a federal investigation would be handled this way?
It's very unusual. You have to have a lot of pull and a lot of connections to have the soft glove, white glove treatment, essentially. Most people who are accused of doing what Hunter Biden did would not be getting the preferential treatment. They would be charged with felonies, they would be prosecuted, and they would go to jail. I think this speaks to the level of cooperation or co-option of the IRS, and more specifically the Justice Department, indebted to the Democratic Party and Joe Biden, doing him favors to keep his son out of trouble.
You used the word preferential treatment. There are a lot of Americans who believe that Hunter Biden did, in fact, get preferential treatment. Do the claims from these two whistleblowers, in your mind, affirm that he, in fact, got preferential treatment, not just in the plea agreement, but also in the investigation of his case in general?
I think it's in the investigation stage that we can see the true preferential treatment. Look, I won't knock a prosecutor for exercising his discretion. That happens all the time. Charges are brought that are not necessarily as high as other people would like or even the investigators might like. There are a lot of factors that go into that. I wouldn't say automatically that that's where the preferential treatment occurs. However, in an investigation, when you're giving the target of your investigation heads up that you're going to be searching his premises, or you are not executing a search warrant because his dad is the vice president, was the vice president, that does not happen to everyone. That's preferential treatment right there.
And doesn't that sort of preferential treatment then, in fact, taint the investigation itself?
The investigation seems to have been completed by the IRS as well as it could have. So it's not that it taints the investigation. It's just that it was not a full investigation. The IRS wanted more details, more documents. They were constantly asking for them. But the Justice Department, they were the ones who were slow walking at the FBI. They could have gotten on board at any point, especially when you have WhatsApp messages indicating that Joe Biden may have known about his son's nefarious activities, or that his son's activities were in fact nefarious, and did nothing about it. So the investigation is not so much tainted as it is incomplete, and that's why it's so important to have these hearings on the Hill to see what information there actually is and what more needs to be done to fully discover, to have full transparency of what Hunter Biden and potentially Joe Biden were involved with.
The IRS, the DOJ, the FBI, those agencies typically operate independently, even though they can work together on some cases. But what does it say to you that this interagency dialogue about potential charges against the first son was being had? What does that say about the entire process?
Well, I think, look, we expect a certain level of fairness and equality, but in the real world, when you have a high-profile target, there will be more conversations between and among government agencies than for ordinary people. There's also a concern that you are potentially influencing an upcoming election, even if it is the potential candidate's or the actual candidate's son. So that does require more discretion than just charging into something. You want to have those discussions with other agencies to be sure that you are aligned on what the target is, what the objective is, what the potential charges are, and how to proceed in a way that doesn't lead to questions such as are being asked now, whether the investigation was partial or impartial.
But it seems like that should be a key question that needs to be asked. How can we go about this partially so we don't unnecessarily, if you will, influence an election, but still the fact remains we need to follow justice. We need to follow the evidence where it takes us.
We do, and I keep going back to the fact it's not just what the investigation by the IRS was. That Biden did not declare all of his income. That's pretty much a given. Whether he should be charged with a felony or as a misdemeanor, I won't say that's the biggest issue. The biggest issue is what other evidence was uncovered and what failed to be uncovered because the case was slow-walked or interfered with. Those are the bigger questions, and that's where you get into the issue of whether policy or politics gets in the way of actually pursuing an investigation that is more sensitive to national security.
At this point, given that charges have been filed and there's a plea deal on the table, do you expect us to ever get a full picture of the evidence against Hunter Biden?
I do think that we will get a better sense of what the evidence was, but it's not going to be because the FBI is pursuing it. It's going to be because Congress is demanding access, Congress is demanding hearings, and I think we will see increasing focus, even more than we've had so far, on what exactly Hunter Biden was involved with. And you have to remember that we're talking about foreign countries that were potentially trying to influence U.S. domestic affairs by doing deals with Hunter Biden to get to his dad. This is something that requires full transparency and disclosure, and Congress, I should think that no matter what party you're in, is very interested to see whether foreign governments are actively working to undermine our democracy.
While Congress can bring that information to the forefront, Congress doesn't have any charging power. So do we just get the information but no one's held accountable, do you think?
Well, I think that when you have the information and when the public knows what happened, then you will begin to have accountability. I think the American public will not tolerate to continue seeing a justice system that is unequal, unfair, and doesn't do its job because it's biased. I think that the next president, be it President Trump or even Joe Biden, will have to address the FBI as an institution and institute reforms to regain public credibility and the confidence of the public. So I do think that you will see changes, but those changes will not come until we get to see how bad the situation really is. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
And when you talk about changes, are we talking about simply replacing the heads of those agencies? What kind of changes do you foresee?
You need systemic change because these problems don't start at the top. They have to do more with a culture that has become corrupted or influenced. You have not elected positions or not appointed positions, rather, but you have career officials in these agencies that work there and become more in tune to being sure that they give credit to what their bosses want than doing their jobs. So you need to change the way the FBI is run, essentially, the DOJ is run. You need to have accountability outside of the agency, which is not something that's been done for decades. You need to have more oversight functions, and you need to have a change of culture to go back to what the FBI used to be, which is impartial, just the facts, following the law, and bringing people to justice. You need that detachment from executive, even though it is ultimately an agency that belongs to the executive branch.
I hear you talk about changing culture within the agency, but there are a lot of lawmakers on Capitol Hill who say they want to start with the purse strings, with defunding those agencies, pulling money from those agencies, and then everything else will fall. Your thoughts?
Defunding is always a great way to help implement change. It's a good way to put pressure on an agency to institute reform. So defunding is absolutely a valid tool, and perhaps it's the only one that will get the FBI, the DOJ, or any other agency for that matter to start instituting change. So yes, it's very effective, but you also have to keep in mind that if you don't cut enough funding, they'll just wither away at the edges and the problem will remain unchanged. They will keep the core that's rotten and shed what's left that's good. So defunding alone is not enough. You need more than that.
Gerard Filitti, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us on this Friday afternoon.
Always my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, we'll talk soon. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Joe Biden's latest anti-gun claims aren't just false. They don't even make sense to a lot of people. Let's see if Dr. John Lott can make sense of any of this. That's next, right here on America's Voice Live. Welcome back to America's Voice Live. I'm Terrence Bates. Thanks so much for being here with us. President Biden's gun control speech at the National Safer Community Summit in Connecticut has people talking because the president said, "God save the Queen, man." But that wasn't his only incoherent claim. During the speech, Mr. Biden also had this to say.
Made it harder for people to buy stabilized braces. Put a pistol on a brace, it turns into a gun. Makes it more, you can have a higher caliber weapon, a higher caliber bullet coming out of that gun.
So a stabilizing brace doesn't turn a pistol into a gun. A pistol is already a gun. What's more, though, stabilizing braces have only been used in 2 mass shootings. There's no evidence that the braces even made any difference in those attacks. Dr. John Lott, the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, joins me now to talk about stabilizing braces and much more. And before we get to that, Dr. Lott, I want to talk a bit about the charges, the gun charges specifically against first son Hunter Biden. Your thoughts when you heard that this plea deal, this pretrial diversion was offered him for those charges?
I was pretty shocked. I've served as chief economist for the United States Sentencing Commission in Washington that oversees all the criminal penalties for federal crimes. I also have worked more recently in the Department of Justice, where I was involved in looking at the NICS background check system, which is precisely what's being involved here. And there really should have been like 4 felony charges against Hunter Biden for different types of gun actions. Lying on the form to go and buy a gun to begin with, using illegal drugs while he was possessing it, illegal disposure of the gun, and then, school violation. And you could even add in obstruction with regard to the use of Secret Service officers to try to go and get back the original 4473 form from the gun dealer where he had illegally purchased it. So there's a wide range of issues that are there, both involving crimes for Hunter and also even for the Secret Service. But and of course, then on top of that, you have the charges for income tax evasion. But look, just one minor thing here. Anytime you have somebody who's involved in other criminal cases, such as the possible bribery charges with regard to his dad, you use this as leverage in those negotiations to try to get additional information. There's no attempt that was made on that. They didn't bring in his laptop or other things. Look, the evidence in this case about him using illegal drugs is not only his own biography and his dad's statement, but they have a ton of information on the laptop that would have shown that. None of that was brought in. He should have been facing many felony charges. Instead, he's facing no real penalties for any of the gun crimes that were involved.
And it's your contention that this would have been an easy case to make for any sort of prosecutor, but basically we're seeing now that he's technically not really even going to be charged with the felony because of this pretrial diversion.
Right. Look, these cases are handled within weeks, maybe a month. I mean, you have a form, he signed the form, he lied on the form. We know that he's the one who signed the form. These are very easy cases. They're handled like within a month. This is almost 5 years. They were nearing the statute of limitations for being able to go and deal with this. I can give you case after case after case where people in much different circumstances, much less severe problems than Hunter Biden had, facing many years in prison as a result. I'll give you one case that I saw briefly when I was at the Department of Justice. A 63-year-old man, his wife was getting death threats. She wanted to get a concealed carry permit. As a present, he went to a gun store to try to buy her a handgun. 40 years earlier, he had gotten into a fist fight in his front yard with his brother. Neighbors had called the police. They had been arrested. They had pleaded to a misdemeanor domestic violence charge. That's a covered offense. He says he didn't realize that something that had happened 40 years ago was going to get him in trouble. He had had no other run-ins with the law in the intermediate 40 years. And the prosecution said it's clearly a covered offense. You signed the form, and he was sent to jail for 3 years.
Wow.
And I mean, I can give you case after case. You just had another case in Virginia where a woman using marijuana, I mean, it's legal to use marijuana in many places in the country here. It's still against federal government rules to do it. She was going to be convicted on 2 charges: 1, improperly filling out the form, and 2, illegal possession of the gun. He has heroin and cocaine and everything else that he's using at the same time. There's no states that legalize those types of drugs at all. It's just really a 2 standards of justice here.
And I think that's the ultimate point that we're trying to drill down on here, is that the kind of leverage, if you will, or the kind of, that the Justice Department in this particular case really gave him a slap on the wrist compared to what any average American would have gotten in a similar circumstance.
Oh, exactly.
All right, so I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about what we were talking about in the intro, the whole idea of stabilizing braces. Explain to us exactly what they are and if people should be concerned about them. President Biden, as you heard earlier, made a statement about them that a lot of people don't agree with.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad you asked that question, because that seems to be completely left out of the debate, what these were designed for originally. They were designed and approved under the Obama administration because you have disabled veterans, people who in combat may have lost part of their hand, or people who may be suffering some paralysis in their hand or their arm that makes them difficult for them to hold on to a gun when you have recoil from the gun. And so the stabilizing brace is essentially a strap that fits to the gun and around the person's arm, so it makes it easier for them to deal with the recoil that's there. There are millions of disabled individuals who are able to go and use guns because of those stabilizing braces. And there's no cost benefit here. There's no discussion. They don't go, as you mentioned, they can point to 2 mass public shootings where the person just happened to use the stabilizing brace. No evidence that it made any difference in those attacks. And yet they want to pass a rule that's going to disarm possibly millions of law-abiding Americans who are disabled. And disabled people are often victims of violent crime because they're relatively easy targets. So there's no discussion of the trade-offs that are there. There doesn't seem to be any benefit from having this, and there's obvious costs from having it. But you would listen in vain. I mean, today, when the Senate was voting on this, you had Senators Durbin and Chuck Schumer talking about stabilizing braces turning handguns into machine guns. I mean, this is silly. It's just a strap. It doesn't change a semi-automatic gun into a fully automatic gun just by adding a strap to the outside of the gun that's there. And, you kind of wonder, do these guys, whether it's President Biden, with his ludicrous statements there, changing the caliber of a gun? How does adding a strap change the caliber of a gun?
Dr. Locke, I'm sorry. I noticed something earlier, and I do kind of want to get to this point before I let you go. You used the word mass shooting, and I think you were very deliberate in that. And people oftentimes have conflated mass shooting with mass killing. Explain your concerns about those specific terminologies and the fact that people are trying to blend the two.
Right, thanks. Well, there are multiple definitions that are out there. There's mass public shootings, okay, and that's 4 or more people killed in a public place, not involving some other type of crime like a robbery or a gang fight over drug turf. It's specifically to try to get at those types of mass public shootings that get attention. Somebody going into a mall or a school or movie theater with the sole desire to go and kill people. That's what gets news attention. Mass shootings are 4 or more people killed in any type of shooting. And then you have this gun violence archive, which the media uses all the time. When they talk about 1 mass shooting a day, they have their own definition. It's a gun control group. It's 3 or more people wounded and or killed, where about 90% of those cases are basically drug gangs fighting against each other. And so you'll have somebody like the president go and mention a couple or a few of the recent mass public shootings, and then go and reference the gun violence policy archive for their number of mass shootings. And conflating the two. I mean, are drug gangs fighting against each other, drug turf bad? Yeah, they are. But there's a reason why the news media doesn't cover most of those things, because they don't have the same kind of emotional shock as somebody going into a place purposely to kill kids or doing something else just to go and kill people. And so, you have all these different terms, and the media does, and I'm glad you asked this question also, because the media does a very poor job of kind of differentiating these things.
Well, the reality is that this unfortunately seems to be a trend. And so one of the ways that we hopefully can stop this trend is by having a good conversation about it, being honest about it, and being more informed. Always good to talk to you, sir. We appreciate your time. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but we'll continue this conversation soon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you being there.
All right. Talk to you soon. Coming up after the break, the Hunter Biden plot continues to thicken as another whistleblower has verified that the FBI appeared to deliberately conceal information related to Hunter's laptop even back before the 2020 presidential election. We'll have that part of the story and more after the break.
Hi, I'm Caleb, and this is my story. I was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, or brittle bone disease. I have broken my bones almost 200 times, and I have had 11 surgeries. But I didn't let that stop me. I love to bike ride, climb, race, and I'm learning how to stand and walk. But I can only do all of this because of generous people like you and Shriners Hospitals for Children.
Because of people like you, Shriners Hospitals for Children has helped more than 1.3 million kids just like me, regardless of their family's ability to pay.
Shriners Hospitals for Children is only able to provide this world-class, life-changing medical care because of the generous gifts of people just like you.
Because of you, I can ride my bike. I can play basketball.
Because of people like you, I can run.
I can smile.
Will you send your love to the rescue today?
When you go to loveshriners.org right now and give just 63 cents a day, you're helping kids just like me.
Like me.
Like me. When you give today, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you and a reminder of the love you gave to a kid just like me.
Your gift, no matter how small, can help a child today.
This is your moment to make a difference.
When you pick up your phone, I know you have it right there, and call to give. You're helping kids like me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, please call again or give right away at loveshriners.org.
Your gift makes a difference. Thank you for giving.
Turn on Bionic Spotlight Extreme 360, the motion-activated home defense light that looks just like a security camera. It detects even the slightest motion and automatically triggers 6 ultra-bright LED high beams. Call or go online and order your Bionic Extreme 360 for just $19.99. Plus, get free shipping on your entire order.
To order, call 1-800-449-4256 or go online to buybionic360.com. Call now.
Denver, Colorado at night is truly a beautiful sight. Look at that city. It is daytime right now, but I promise you, it is a gorgeous city even at nighttime. Whistleblower and IRS employee Gary Shapley has confirmed the FBI authenticated Hunter Biden's laptop back in 2019. Shapley testified before the House Ways and Means Committee, alleging the FBI verified the laptop's authenticity by matching the device number with Hunter Biden's Apple iCloud ID. Shapley further claims the FBI intentionally concealed crucial information about Hunter Biden's laptop prior to the 2020 presidential election. Red State reports, and this is a quote, in October of 2019, the FBI became aware that a repair shop had a laptop allegedly belonging to Hunter Biden and that the laptop might contain evidence of a crime. These claims align with assertions made by journalist and Twitter Files reporter Michael Schellenberger. The FBI chose not to publicly acknowledge the laptop's authenticity, falsely labeling it a Russian hoax and influencing social media platforms to censor its coverage. According to Shapley and another whistleblower, law enforcement officials deliberately delayed the investigation. Shapley's testimony revealed that Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss sought federal charges against Hunter Biden that were more severe than the current charges, but was denied by a Biden-appointed U.S. attorney. Breitbart War Room reporter Wendell Husebo, tweeted, the whistleblowers revealed IRS investigators were told by U.S. Attorney Leslie Wolf that because the evidence would be found in the guest house of the former Vice President Biden, quote, there is no way a search warrant for evidence would ever get approved. In a WhatsApp message found on a laptop, the Hunter Biden reportedly communicated with Chinese businessmen leveraging his father's position, writing, "I'm sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and now means tonight. And Z, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person we know, or every person he knows, and my ability forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I'm sitting here waiting for the call with my father," he writes. These allegations constitute explosive evidence demonstrating that Hunter used his father as a bargaining chip and that then Vice President Biden may have been aware of Hunter's actions. U.S. Representative Lauren Boebert of Colorado's push to impeach President Biden is officially in the hands of the House Homeland Security and Judiciary Committees this morning. A vote to refer her resolution to those committees passed along party lines Thursday, as expected. In the meantime, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is promising to draw up impeachment proposals against President Biden as well, along with FBI Director Christopher Wray, Attorney General Merrick Garland, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy isn't necessarily on board with the impeachment attempts, saying he instead expects ongoing House committee investigations to produce evidence against the current president and members of his administration that can be used to build a stronger impeachment case. Coming up after the break, a team of TPUSA correspondents went undercover into a drag queen event in Arlington, Texas. One of them that was there is Anthony Mason, and he joins us live. Anthony Watson. He joins us live next, right here on AVL. Sorry, Anthony, I'm trying to look at this video and figure it out. We'll talk to you after the break.
Hi, friends. Richard Karn here. Now, I'm known as the guy who can fix just about anything, but the technology in most appliances requires very special training to fix. My point is, even I know when I've met my match, and that's why my family has Choice Home Warranty. So we won't get stuck with high-priced repairs.
Choice Home Warranty covers over 25 major home systems and appliances. That's your AC, heating, plumbing, kitchen and laundry appliances, and so much more.
Imagine for less than a cup of coffee a day, Choice Home Warranty can help protect you from expensive major system and appliance breakdowns that your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover. But you have to call now before it's too late.
Every homeowner should have Choice Home Warranty. Your homeowner's insurance is not going to cover your appliances.
Washing machine, dryer, refrigerator, air condition. If I had any issues arise, they were able to take care of it immediately.
Now, homeowner's insurance won't protect you when your home's major systems and appliances break down due to normal wear and tear. But Choice Home Warranty will. They can help cover repairs and replacements.
Choice Home Warranty is the best warranty we've ever used. It would save you so much money in the long run.
Hey, I'm not the only one raving about Choice Home Warranty. They were named a Best Home Warranty Company and Best Claim Service by U.S. News 360 Reviews.
Call Choice Home Warranty now and get access to a nationwide network of over 15,000 technicians and the latest appointment setting technology so you'll know when they're on their way.
If I have an issue with an appliance or something around the house, I just call up Choice Home Warranty and I don't have to worry about that.
So, do what this old DIYer did and call Choice Home Warranty now before something breaks down. Tell them I sent you and get your first month free.
Call Choice Home Warranty before it's too late and get protection for your heating, AC, plumbing, kitchen and laundry appliances, and more. Call for your free quote today. Call in the next 5 minutes and get your first month free. 800-998-7192. 800-998-7192.
This is Mary Ann's first time visiting Paris.
Voulez-vous?
Before Mary Ann packed her bags, before she attempted her first sentence in French, she downloaded Babbel. So when it came time to tell a cab driver to take her to the Hotel Pierre,
J'aimerais aller à l'Hôtel Pierre.
Oh, c'est très bien. Babbel focuses on natural conversation. You can speak and pronounce with confidence. Start speaking a new language in 3 weeks at Babbel.com.
We're showing you Phoenix, Arizona, because that's where my next guest is. He said it is super hot, so hopefully he gets a chance to cool down a little bit in the air conditioning during our conversation. This past week, while TPUSA hosted its Young Women's Leadership Summit, Anthony Watson went undercover with some TPUSA team members to a Pride event in Arlington, Texas. They witnessed what they described as some of the most vile and antithetical behavior from a community that's constantly playing the victim card in society. That behavior included young children exposed to overtly sexual performances and entertainment. Plus, the event took place right next to a big church there in Arlington. That's not unusual, though, as organizers frequently use these events in order to incorporate faith and religion in their performances. The TPUSA correspondent who covered this story is Anthony Watson. He joins me now to talk more about what he witnessed and everything else involved. Anthony, good to see you.
Terrence, thank you so much for having me on today. It's a pleasure to be with you guys.
All right, so going in, what was your expectation and what did you actually witness? Did the expectation meet up to what you meet with what you saw?
Well, first of all, going in, I honestly didn't even want to go because when you go to these kind of events, it's no surprise what you get because it's advertised everywhere. You see it all over the internet, and all the people that go and attend these things are the people that have already made up their minds. There's no changing or convincing them. These are the people, the small group of people that always meet together that claim victimhood when literally they're living in a state of freedom that not a lot of us can't even experience nowadays when you play the victim card. And so seeing and witnessing that was in and of itself a little disturbing. But when you got there, seeing what people were wearing, seeing the costumes, you know, the body parts that were hanging out. And then I think what was most sickening and disturbing for me was watching families with toddlers as young as 3 months old being pushed in strollers, being carried in knapsacks attached to their mothers, literally sitting there having these grown men in prosthetic breasts and all of these makeup get-ups and everything else now try to implement that lifestyle onto the next generation of children. And this is the thing that you see a lot of. Everyone is swearing up and down that conservatives don't want trans people to exist. Regardless of what you feel about them, they exist. And this is the thing that I keep telling people. For these young activists, these Gen Zers who were in their teens and 20s that are literally mutilating themselves, that think that this is the first time they're being persecuted, trans people have existed before you were even born. They were just called something different back then. But the reason that it's become such a hot topic now is because everyone was okay. It was you do your thing over there, but everyone started getting a little, upset when it started including kids. And when you see these grown men, I don't even know what the rage is about drag shows when it's a bunch of men in dresses and hair and makeup that just do lip syncing contests. That's really all it was. But what we saw down there were a lot of people celebrating a lifestyle that literally offers no guarantees, no happiness, and no self-sufficiency in society and personally.
And it seems to me your main concern is that kids were there, that kids were exposed, literally and figuratively, to this.
Of course. And anyone with a conscience, anyone with a heart for young people knows that that's not right for them to experience. Now, if you're an adult and you want to make those kind of decisions for yourself, the older that you get, then that's on you and you have to be the one to bear the consequences of that. But see, what the left does and what people like this and this kind of lifestyle do when they can't get the persuasion and they can't get the mindset of the adults to change to be in favor of them, then they go play victim. And then the next place they go do is try to implement that lifestyle on a child. And that's not something that's freeing or progressive. That's predatory. When you as a grown adult have to go plead your case and go see if your lifestyle is accepting to the life of children to now groom them, that is literally what grooming is. And the upsetting thing to me, and I think I quoted it in the article, was one of the performers that was going to compete in the finals for RuPaul's drag show in Las Vegas said a disturbing thing in the end. He says, no matter what you do to us, we're here and we're not going anywhere. No matter who puts up a fight, we're here to stay. And so that doesn't sound like somebody who's being victimized. That sounds like somebody who has an agenda and is going to do anything that they can to push that agenda to anyone that's going to allow them a stage and a presence to do that. And it's always in the face of religion. It's always in the face of mocking a group of people that literally just want to be accepted as Christians, as Catholics, as people of faith. And it's always done in the face of resistance and in the biggest opposition, whether it's either on church property with church symbolisms in the background or even being used, as you saw, as the LA Dodgers literally doing a lap dance on a cross with a crucified Christ pigment on that. And now that they're saying that they're the ones that are being marginalized when they're the ones that attack everybody else around them. And we're living in a culture now where we're being taught and told that to disagree or to even question things is a form of hatred. And that's what you're starting to see happen in other countries overseas, which is why the attack on free speech, press, assembly is under attack so much right now for the progressive groups that can actually be used to utilize to push all of these things to now further extend the reach of rich elites.
And Anthony, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't raise the issue of parental responsibility here. You say there were families, mothers, fathers, whomever, that brought their children to this sort of environment.
Oh, of course. And the thing that I said when I watched all of those kids and stuff, because we were undercover, so I was going there, filming a lot of B-roll and getting a lot of stuff. I had so much footage of children on that camera that if the FBI got it, I'd be arrested for life, essentially, because of what I had in my person. But you have mothers that say that I want to expose my kid, verbatim, I want to expose my child to this so that they can understand that these kind of people have feelings and they need to be understood and stuff. Another mother had said that she wanted her son to know that whatever he chooses in life, he is able to do that and do that. That's not what you do to a child. You, as a parent, are responsible to raise your son to be a man. You are responsible as a mother to raise your daughter to be a woman. And the lack that I saw of in this whole environment were fathers. There was nobody there as the head of their household, covering and protecting their families. Instead, it was a bunch of mothers and fathers who were very beta and didn't look like they offered any kind of symbol of strength, emotional support, or any kind of leadership or guidance to anybody. They're literally saying that this is for the betterment of my child because I want them to understand. You don't need to take your child to that kind of environment, to expose them to that kind of debauchery where it doesn't show what expression is. It just shows a group of people that want to be accepted in a very vulgar, risque lifestyle that adults should not bring children to in the name of acceptance.
And the whole idea of acceptance, is that something that can be adequately taught at 3-month-old, 3 years old even? In your mind?
Of course not. Because a kid at the age of 3 months old, a kid at the age of 2 want to be dinosaurs. They want to be astronauts. They want to be a lot of things that don't make sense that you have to learn and be taught to be walked into. And the same way that you can teach someone how to become an engineer, how to become a fireman, how to become a trash collector is the same way that you can teach someone how to become transsexual, how to become pansexual, how to become so confused in their own identity that they don't recognize themselves when they grow up. And yet the young age of like 6 or 7 now are having these kids have mutilating surgeries that are irreversible. And now we're being told that there's legislation being passed in certain states that if you as a parent do not affirm your child and their belief and in the feelings that they have for the gender that they identify as, it is now a form of child abuse where now the government can come and remove your child from your house.
Anthony, unfortunately, we'll have to leave the conversation there because we could probably go on for another hour and a half on this one. But it's always good to talk to you, my friend. Have a great rest of the weekend.
Thank you, Terrence. You too.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Democrat Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is proposing $25 million in taxpayer funding to house illegal immigrants. We'll have that story and more after the break.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, ride your bike.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, smile big and bright.
Thousands of kids just like me are happy every day.
And it's all because of generous people like you who support Shriners Hospitals for Children every month.
All you have to do is call the number on your screen or go online to loveshriners.org right now with your monthly gift.
Because of people like you, Shriners Hospitals for Children is able to make an everyday miracle happen for kids like me.
If you're happy and you know it, dance around. If you're happy and you know it, play a song.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, take your shot.
And when you call or go online right now to donate $19 a month or more, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you and a reminder of all the smiles you're bringing to kids' faces every day.
Will today be the day you send your love to the rescue?
When you call the number on your screen right now and give as little as $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you'll be making a life-changing difference for a child, just like Sarah.
Your monthly gift today could change your life forever.
Because of you.
We are happy and we know it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please call or go online right now to give. If operators are busy, please wait patiently or go to loveshriners.org right away.
Here at Allegiance Flag Supply, we grew sick and tired of flying flags that were made overseas, flags that would rip and tear easily, so we really made a commitment to quality. All of our flags are finished with bar tacking at all of the stress points, and they are sewn using double needle lock stitching.
All of our flags materials are sourced in America, and they are made by American seamstresses. So we are American made from beginning to end.
Shop now at showallegiance.com.
Look at my beautiful hometown of Chicago, Illinois. A lot happening there, but it is a gorgeous city. So good to have you along for the ride here on America's Voice Live. I'm Terrence Bates. The Faith and Freedom Coalition's Road to Majority Conference is underway right now in Washington, D.C. This year's conference will feature a who's who of conservative voices and Republican presidential candidates. Some of them just wrapped up their remarks. Real America's Voice correspondent David Zier joins us live from the conference now with an update. David, always good to see you. So who all took to the podium today?
Hello, Terrence. A lot of people spoke today. There's been great speeches by Mark Robinson. He really brought down the House, and as Damon Roberts from LFS 6B told me today, made you want to jump through a brick wall. It was so motivating and inspiring. There were some really good ones, and Francis Suarez, mayor of Miami, was very popular today, saying it brought the homeless population down by like 90% in Miami. People were excited about that, but I guess the name of the game at this conference is going to be who can out-Trump Trump, right? There's a lot of speakers here who are pro-Trump, and Jeanine Pirro, Trump's coming on at 7 p.m. tomorrow. And there's 18 candidates in the field of the GOP right now. So, DeSantis spoke. Everybody was pretty upbeat and positive here today. There were over 1,000 people in the audience, according to our reporting. And I did about 15 interviews, including Jody Ernst. And I was the bellwether, right? Pro-life state. They have legislation banning transgender reassignment surgeries for children. Very conservative legislature, pretty conservative governor. And that's going to be, something to watch here on the pro-life issue as well. And the Faith and Freedom Coalition here, Road to Majority 2024 is basically a faith-based event. Ralph Reed, who helped change the dynamics in Georgia politics many years ago, running this event. It's about returning America to some spirituality, some religion, bringing the families back together, and fighting what's going on out there that we don't like, right? And they're looking for indicators from our candidates on the path forward.
And David, obviously a number of the candidates, the presidential candidates on the Republican side, using this event as a way to campaign, but there's some real issues being addressed, even apart from some of those stump speeches, if you will. Talk about some of the issues that are being talked about there in some of the breakout sessions.
I spoke to this great guy named Eric Colton. He's an independent businessman who works with Special Forces guys. They're trying to break up the fact that we have 500,000 children missing a year in the United States, and he's focusing with the Guardia program and then breaking up trafficking. And his organization On Trafficked was, seemed pretty spectacular. We interviewed, of course, Joni Ernst from Iowa, but then we had Liberty University, Dave Bratt, and Ryan Helfenbein, who fills in for Dr. Tim Clinton on the road forward. These guys from Liberty University are great. We talked with Dave Bratt about the economic crunch coming in the commercial market. We artificially injected in a $500 million, $1 billion to kick the can kind of down the road. But there's a commercial crunch coming, a credit crunch. Loans were down 56% last quarter. Unemployment numbers are up. Everybody's working 2 and 3 jobs, so the unemployment numbers may be skewed to begin with. I covered that with Dave Bratt. I talked to Marcus C. Williams. What a bright guy. Rochester City Republican leader, young guy, wants to take the city back. Highest murder rate in the New York State, if not among the top 2 or 3. And the Democrats have controlled that region. And the police chief, who's a Republican, lost a congressional race up there in Rochester. They're trying to restore law and order up there. So it was pretty refreshing. Darius Mayfield, running in New Jersey's 12th district, got 46% of the vote last time, making another run. Talked to great people. And, it's going to be exciting tomorrow, too. Trump's coming on 7 p.m. Eastern.
Absolutely. And we're going to be covering that live. We'll obviously have you still there, David, so we'll be checking in with you tomorrow for that. And again, folks, please tune into our coverage of this Faith and Freedom Coalition Road to Majority Conference. We'll be covering it all day today, and then we'll also have live coverage for you tomorrow. Let's go on and put that up, guys. There we go. Daily coverage. Road to Majority. It's in Washington, D.C. We'll have live coverage for you today and tomorrow. Our coverage tomorrow starts at 2 o'clock Eastern. We'll see you then. Well, we're going to get back to the news after this quick break and a message from our sponsor, Birch Gold. When Biden in the Oval Office, or with Biden in the Oval Office, we've seen inflation surge and deficit spending and the national debt have hit record highs. It's directly because of these challenges that President Trump recently warned, quote, "Our currency is crashing and will soon no longer be the world standard, which will be our greatest defeat, frankly, in 200 years, he said. Well, now, in a direct affront to the dollar's status as a global reserve currency, the BRICS group of nations, led by China and Russia, are rumored to be just 2 months away from launching their own currency. With the dollar seemingly on its last legs, it's more important than ever now to take a hard look at moving some of your savings into gold. And you can own gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account with the help of the Birch Gold Group. That's right, Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. And the best part is you don't have to pay a penny out of pocket. To get started, Birch Gold is giving away a free information kit on gold. You can get that free information kit simply by texting the word America to the number 989898. Think about it this way. When currencies fail, gold is always a safe haven. So how much more time does the dollar actually have, especially with BRICS looming ominously overhead? Protect your savings with gold now. Birch Gold has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied customers. So again, text the word America to the number 989898 to get your free information kit on gold. Again, that's simply by texting the word America to the number 989898. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a story that reminds us all of how wonderful America is. Plus, we'll have your answers to the America's Voice question of the day. Here it is. More whistleblowers are saying the Hunter Biden investigation was tampered with. So, are you surprised? Your answers after the break.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you all know that you have made My Pillow 2.0 a huge success. And because of your amazing support, we've expanded My Pillow's USA manufacturing and jobs. To make room for this, we're clearing out our Percale bed sheets. And to thank you, I'm giving them to you at closeout prices. King size, only $39 a set. Queens, $35 a set. Full size, $29, and twin size, just $25. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime offer. Get these MyPillow bed sheets now. Once they're gone for good.
I work at Lumi Deodorant, and I'm going to tell you how to get the best deal on Lumi. It's the starter pack. You pick 2 full-size deodorants, and you get 2 mystery items for free and free shipping. So now's your chance to try Lumi Whole Body Deodorant with 72 hours of odor control.
I'm Arthur Lee, the inventor of LifeVac, a simple airway clearance device that can save a life in a choking emergency. All these families were affected and saved by LifeVac. In an airway emergency, you have 4 minutes till the brain dies. Maybe less and maybe more. Response time in the United States averages 7 minutes. The person needs to be rescued. We need to have LifeVac on hand. A US-made product with a US patent. Always shop Made in America. And for LifeVac, go to lifevac.net.
Call 1-877-LifeVac or visit lifevac.net and use code SAVE1 to get 20% off. That's 1-877-LifeVac or lifevac.net, code SAVE1 to get 20% off. LifeVac, the original rescue suction device that saves lives.
Made in the USA.
The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need, and discounts for seniors and military.
Well, don't call it a comeback. Blue whales have been here for years, rocking their piers and putting sailors in fear. Yeah, that's an LL reference there, LL Cool J. These largest animals on Earth are returning to the coastal Californian waters in larger and larger numbers, with sightings of whale watching trips becoming increasingly common. According to a 2014 study investigating the impact of ship strikes on the blue whale population, the Western Pacific population of these marine mammals has returned to 97% of its pre-whaling levels. Commercial fishing tackle can actually get tangled up and harm those whales, so the industry took measures to reduce this, and the good news is it worked. Also, too many blue whales were killed every year in ship strikes, so Pacific Shipping narrowed their lanes in order to avoid areas where whales congregate, and are now agreeing to reduce their speeds when entering and exiting harbor areas. Cool for those whales. All right, time to get to America's Voice question of the day. Here it is. More whistleblowers are saying the Hunter Biden investigation was tampered with. Are you surprised? Here are some of your responses. Lori Elizabeth Morocco writes, not at all surprised. Grr, I like that. Patrick Cynthia Webb writes, no, even one time. These are clowns. It's never been a joke. Everyone knew it a long time ago. Appreciate you chiming in there. And that's going to do it for America's Voice Live today. As always, we appreciate having you along for the ride. I'm Terrence Bates.
One way to avoid expensive car repair bills is to be a race car driver. The other is endurance. You could never pay for covered car repairs again.
In my first year with Endurance, they covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
As a certified mechanic, I always recommend that my customers have an auto protection plan. You never know when a breakdown can strike, and you need coverage that you can count on.
Without Endurance, breakdowns can cost thousands. With Endurance, you're covered. Even better, you pick the mechanic you trust.
Endurance covers nearly every car on the road, up to 20 years old.
They cover a ton on the car.
So, who's going to pay for your next car repair? You or Endurance?
Act now for $300 off any plan. Plus, a full year of elite benefits, a $2,000 value free, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call 1-855-633-7037 now for a free quote.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. To get the coverage you need, call the number on the screen now.
Here are some of the headlines we are featuring today from your favorite news outlets at offthepress.com. First son Hunter Biden continues to be in the news, now for what appears to be an extortion scheme involving his father. New whistleblower information just released show he tried to use his dad's power to squeeze Chinese officials, undercutting claims the president was never involved. And more information is expected today on the Biden family scheming. 2 House Republicans are trying to get former President Trump's impeachments erased. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Elise Stefanik have filed bills to expunge the old votes. Hispanics have now topped blacks and Asians as the nation's second largest